what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Pierre Coach Talk. I have the pleasure of honor of introducing my college football coach, Coach Keith Allen. What's up, Coach?
Man, how are you doing? I love to see your former players, man. It's amazing to see you guys grow. And we talked about it a long time ago. 4 for 40, right? We said, give us 40
Absolutely.
and we got your back the next 40. And we live by that. I live by that today. I tell recruits these things all the time. And just to see you, branching out on your own and adulting, let's call it that, and
Yes.
and seeing you go along your professional career, and it's so much, it's a rewarding experience as a head coach or a coach in general to see your former players succeeding in life.
Well, I appreciate that, Coach. And Coach, let me tell you, I just have so much appreciation for you and what your program did for me in my life. Through your program, you were able to provide me an opportunity to keep playing. I was able to pay for school, got out of school debt free. Had met some of my closest friends, had lifelong friendships that I still have till this day. Met my wife, had led off to my family. Like, Coach, you I have the utmost respect for you. So thank you for giving a kid from Kansas City an opportunity to play at SBU. So thank you.
Yeah, no,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to coach you. So
So, Coach, as a coach, I wanted to kind of just branch out and talk to other coaches. And the first question I'm always going to ask is, what made you, Keith Allen, want to become a coach?
I knew I knew I wanted to be a coach at a little age. There was a stoic head football coach by the name of Tom Landry that I
Oh, yeah.
idolized and adored. And I'm a kid from Oklahoma,
Mhm.
and it hurts my heart when I talk to current players and they're like, "Who's Tom Landry?" And just it hurts my heart.
Right.
But just the man in the fedora hat or the man in the hat, and
Mhm.
just seeing him just walk the sidelines and be very, not too high on the highs, very, not emotionalist, but just a
Mhm.
stoic figure, and seeing what he was able to do with a group of guys and a common goal. And then,
Mhm.
just my love of football as a young age. Like when they asked, let's see, Halloween, when I was in fifth grade or fourth grade, I dressed up, people were ghosts and goblins and clowns. I dressed up as a football coach. Um, that's what I did. And, other kids, they would play with their little Star Wars action figures. You know what I
Mhm.
would do? I would draft.
Oh,
And I'll be very honest, Boba Fett and Chewbacca were my, first and second draft picks. Because I got speed and strength. And I would literally, now I'm telling you, 11 on 11, and I'd move them one
uh-huh.
piece at a time after I drafted all 22 players. And
Oh,
that's what I did as a kid. So was I a nerd? Absolutely. Was I passionate about football? 100%. My
mhm.
mom, this is after SBU. I'd moved to Florida, coaching high school ball in Florida. My mom found a notebook, a three-ring binder, no, a spiral notebook that with the letters said football playbook.
Mhm.
Smelled it to me. I opened it up. I was so mad at myself for how bad that playbook was. But, I made that playbook when I was in third or fourth grade. If you looked at it right now, you'd be like, "Really?
Right,
What were
right.
you thinking here, man? What kind of system is this?" But I just knew at a young age I wanted to coach. They asked me in high school, what do you want to be? Your senior question. At that time I wanted to be an NFL coach. I wanted to go that way. But those things change.
Right.
So, but I graduated high school, and I was National Merit Scholar, really good in math and science. And they said, what do you want to do?" And I was like, "I don't know." Well, you're really good in math and science. You should be an engineer. Cool. I'll be an engineer. So I got my degree in civil engineering, and I'm not a quitter, and I don't like to do more school than I have to. And engineering's already a long program. But my third or fourth year, I realized it was 5 years for me. I realized this, I don't want to do this.
Right.
I interned at Oklahoma County to get this all in perspective for you. And all they wanted to do, I'd go up to Oklahoma City, leave Norman, Oklahoma. I was at University of Oklahoma. I'd go up there, and all they wanted to do was talk about OU football. And I was already a player and then a student coach at that time. So I'm like, why am I going to work at an engineering firm where all they want to do is talk about what I do before I go to that job?
Right.
So when I graduated college now, and I don't know if I told you all this story or not, but when I graduated college, I had three job offers, making between $70,000 and $90,000 a year, and that's back in 1997.
Oh,
making really good money as an engineer.
yeah.
University of Oklahoma comes back and offers me $700 a month to be a graduate assistant. So I turned down all those jobs making that money for $700 a month. My family always said, we never question your intelligence, just your sanity. So,
So then at what point you saw that, okay, coaching was what I wanted to do, but then when did it become more than just football? Because obviously that's what great coaches have, like
right.
yourself. Like, when does it transition from just X's and O's to more
Player
outside of that?
development, as you grow as a coach and you see the impact you have and the influence you have over people, getting kids to do things that teachers can't get them to do or professors can't get them to do, because you have a strong carrot in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
And once you notice you have that kind of, I don't want to say power, but that kind of podium or pedestal,
Right.
you how can I utilize it best? And if you're a man of faith, you sit there with a pedestal that God's given you. God's blessed you with this opportunity. And now I want to be a leader of men. I want to build men. I believe God put us on this earth not to be average. I believe He put us on this earth to be great, but that's a choice to be great. And when given a platform, you've got to take advantage of those platforms. So once you see the impact you have and the words that you give people and your actions that they see, and you see what kind of influence you have, if you're a man of God and a man of your word, you just want to keep building young men and helping them. You want to see your players go further than you.
Right.
And you never know. And here's the thing: as a coach, I'll warn everybody, you never know what you're going to say or do and how it's going to impact different people.
Mm-hmm.
So short story: San Jose State. I'm the special teams coordinator and DB's coach.
Mm-hmm.
And one of our linebackers, Ezekiel Staples, is a great football player. He's a freshman, a true freshman, and we're doing some drills. And anyway, after practice, a few weeks pass, and he goes, Coach Allen, what you said to me made the biggest impact in my life. And as a coach, and this, I have a lot of stories, and I have a lot of illustrations that I share with kids. And so I have the winner's manual that we did at SBU and all
Yep.
those
Yeah.
things. So I'm sitting there in my mind, I'm the special teams coordinator. So I get, as a special teams coordinator, you get to speak in front of most of the team. So I'm thinking, man, Zeke, what did I say? What words of wisdom, what pearls of wisdom did I give you that changed your life? And he looks at me and he goes, one day in practice, he said, that crap ain't going to cut it in D1. And I was like, that was it? That's what changed your trajectory? And he goes, yeah. Because he said, I realized at that point, and I might be paraphrasing exactly what I said to him there,
Mm-hmm.
but he goes, I realized what I got away with in high school wasn't going to cut it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there thinking it was one of these things I prepared, one of these stories that
Right.
I'd researched, that I'd worked on the pitch and, in delivery. And it was in the middle of a drill. And all I did was, that ain't going to cut it in D1. That was
Mm-hmm.
the defining moment in that kid for at San Jose State. So you never know
Mm-hmm.
what's going to impact them. Uh,
Oh,
you know, they say this all the time in education. They're never going to remember what you taught them, but they're always going to remember how you made them feel.
yes, sir. Yes,
So,
sir. Actually, I heard that quote from you at my senior year. So that's something that constantly goes into my classroom all the time. Where even if my lesson is on point, if my students aren't willing to learn because I'm providing them the environment to learn, it doesn't matter. Um, it's funny that you said about quotes because I had a couple lists of quotes I wanted to kind of just repeat back to you that
uh,
personally have always stuck out to me. So I
you got a list. This is good.
I got a list. Hold on. First off, this is my freshman year. We you told us to grab a buddy. So we're sprinting, after practice, all that. Grab a buddy. First hand I grab is Glenn Johnson.
There
Ends up
you
being
go.
one of my longtime friend of mine. So best believe that moment right there impacted me. Slant. Sit up, lean
Yeah.
forward, act interested, nod, talk when spoken to. That
There you go.
still runs into my head. Oh, I got two more. FTF, freak those freakers. We all knew you were a man of faith. So the fact that you said freakers, we're like, whoa, coach, simmer down, coach, simmer down.
Yeah.
And then lastly, my personal favorite, change the player or change the player. I've said that so many times. And again, kids will always go, what do you mean by that, coach? And I have to explain. They're like, so I need to do better. Yes, you need to do better.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, it's not your fault you didn't make the play.
Yeah.
It's my fault for letting you out there.
Yes,
That's on me.
Yes. So as your experience has grown as a coach, how has your philosophy evolved from young coach, being a grad assistant to San Diego State to now Schreiner University? How have you seen your evolution in your philosophy as a coach?
Well, there's some things that have really locked in that I haven't changed. I haven't deviated probably since 2008, 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the big ones that haven't changed are the standards, expectations, and core values.
Mm-hmm.
We still TP dub, tough people win.
Mm-hmm.
Second Thessalonians 3:10. I don't remember when we started doing that at SBU, but Second Thessalonians 3:10 has been our verse forever. Paraphrased, it says, "If one is unwilling to work, they shall not eat."
Yes, sir.
Because it's an entitled world, and we don't like entitled people. And then our 5 core values, which I didn't have solidified at SBU as much as I got it probably when I was more at King's Academy, but we're going to do it together. All right, make a fist. Put it next to either ear. I don't care which one. All right, index finger up. Okay, yeah, you had to think about it. Yeah, index finger up. Number 1 core value doesn't change. Is the number 1 thing is team.
Okay.
Team. So as long as the team is first, you're never going to have a problem with another player or staff member as long as the team is first. Once it becomes a me-centric locker room is when you have problems. So our core value is always team. Number 1 core value is team. Number 2, put up your middle finger. Yeah. So when I say middle finger, you thought of something, right?
Yes, sir.
So tough, mental and physical toughness. It goes back to tough people win. Tough people do whatever it takes. Feelings don't matter. Do what you got to do no matter how you feel. Moms are a great example. Moms change diapers, feed babies, and it doesnn't matter if they have 106-degree fever, if they feel awful, they're going to do their job because they're tough. All right, ring finger up. All right, you might remember this one. The 2 things you can control are your enthusiasm and your
effort. Yes. Yes. How did I forget that? Yes.
So that's the number 3 core value. No matter where you're at, bring enthusiasm and effort. Because those things are uncapped. And we talk about that. Be the most enthusiastic person in the room. Give the greatest effort, whatever you're doing. And then pinky finger up. So you think pinky promise, discipline. We're disciplined, doing whatever we're supposed to do, no matter who's around. All right. So now make that fist and point that thumb right back at you. This is your 5th one. All right. Alliterations. Focus and finish. Focus at the task at hand. And, that's a lost art in today's society. It's not a generational thing. It's an us thing because of the phones, the watches, and all the TikToks. People want to say kids. No, it's all of us. Focus on the task at hand and finish the task. So over my time in coaching, I've probably locked in that belief system more, that these standards and these core values matter more. And I thought they mattered a lot. The 19 characteristics of a winner, we still cover. I believe those to be true. They're biblically based, what it takes to win. Those 5 core values are biblically based. It ties in with 2 Thessalonians 3:10 about working for everything you earn. So those things haven't changed. Dealing with players hasn't really changed. I'm a believer, if you set a standard, they're going to try to meet the standard. So we still practice hard. We probably take the pad. Well, I don't even think we put pads on at SBU. At one point we we were always in shells, but we were never in full. I'm a believer of keeping them fresh, get them fresh for the fight. I'm a believer of, you don't have to condition them. Now, I know you did because we had to get some kids right, but as the team gets more mature, the less discipline and less conditioning you have to do after practice. You can do a lot of that stuff in
Uh-huh.
practice. I'm a big believer of up tempo practice. And if you have enough gas in the tank after practice, then we didn't play fast enough. I don't
Correct,
think you need
correct.
2.5 hour practices, but I think you got to play it. You got to play to speed.
Hmm.
So those things haven't changed. Recruiting hasn't really changed, as far as what I'm looking for. I've never worried myself at any level of football of the metrics. I've always worried about, are they an OKGR kind of guy?
Hmm.
And do they make plays?
Hmm.
Players make plays, right? Big time players make big time
Big
plays in
time
big
plays
time
and big time
situations.
games.
So,
Yes.
uh, so I'll take a 5.8. We offered a 5.8 safety that nobody talked to, but when you put the film on, I'm not talking highlights. Anybody can make a
Hmm.
great highlight, but when you
Right.
put the film on, that kid's flying around, he's striking people, and he's got a high IQ and a high motor. I'll
Hmm.
take a 5.8 kid. I don't, whatever, because that kid's going to be in the right place and he's going to give me everything he's got.
Right.
And he showed over time and time. The guy at Indiana, Signetti, made this popular, and we used this phrase right here before. Uh, you know, uh, Productivity over potential.
Mhm.
I don't care how tall you are, what your metrics look like. Can you make a play? Because if you can't make a play and you're 6'5" and you look the part, you're probably not going to make the play as much as I want you to, no matter how well I coach you.
Right.
But if you're a little short, maybe a little slow from a foot speed standpoint, but you're making plays, productivity over potential. I'm going to take kids and make plays every day. Now, at his level, it's a little different animal because they get a little different to pick from. But, think about it. Southwest Baptist University, we weren't getting the cream of the crop, right? But
Hmm.
we were able to turn the program around and win a lot of games.
Hmm.
And why was it? Was it spectacular coaching? I'd like to think so, but it's no. It's
Um,
because we took a bunch of island of misfit toys, so to speak, and got them to be a brotherhood.
yep. Hmm.
Think
Hmm.
about the bonds you have made in college. And a lot of that's because of the way we structured things to make those things happen. The buddy check, right? And
Oh, yep.
and those things.
Yep.
And obviously you got to do some things to form toughness and
Hmm.
and get them to know that they can go a little bit further. So that's the
Hmm.
toughness part of it, the pushing the sleds, things like that. But you know, the one thing we've probably changed to the most is I still believe tough people win TPW. I still believe that 100%. But if you watch the movie Man on Fire,
Hmm.
Denzel's Washington character says there is no toughness. There's only trained. And I believe that to be true to an extent, right? I still believe there's mental
Ooh,
toughness. But
that's a
so
quote right
what I've
there. That's
really,
a quote.
what I've switched to is situational football. We're going to train situational football so when it gets in those tough situations, those 2-minute situations, the third downs, the different scenarios that happen in the game of football, my kids are going to fall back on their training.
Hmm.
So in essence, their toughness is there because they're trained for it. There's nothing new in a football team that I've coached. There won't be a scenario or situation that we haven't coached or gone over or repped. Be it a 2-point play, the 4-minute running out the clock, having to get two big plays to get a touchdown or get in a field goal range, a 50-yard play, a 40, we work all those situations.
Hmm.
And we did it back when we coached you, but I think I have a better script and we do a little bit better with the different situations.
Because to add on that, I think that was the genesis when I was there because I specifically remember you mentioning, hey, TYT guys, trust your training, trust your training. We would do the different downs and situation. Hey, goal line challenge, passing
Right.
challenge, all that other stuff.
Yeah,
And I
we
like
still
you.
do all those challenges. I think they're
Right,
huge.
right, right. And they all make sense. But I think, like you're saying, like now it's the evolution of okay, let's take it to the next step versus just we're just doing a situation. Now it's in
Right.
everything you got him. Okay.
So
Okay.
we're big on like P10. There's studies have been done. So first play of the series, if you're successful in the first play of the series, you have a 70% chance higher likelihood of scoring on that drive.
Mhm.
So some of the metrics we measure have changed over the game because, let's face it, AI and all the technology you have at your resources now,
Mhm.
we didn't really have. It was a bunch of guys sitting there watching film on a VHS, tracking certain things. But
Uh-huh.
some of the metrics you can measure now, like points per drive.
Mhm.
That's something I never heard of till about 4 years ago. So now we measure points per drive, not
Mhm.
necessarily points per play, points per, whatever, but points per series, points per drive. So there's some goals and some metrics we know we need to hit to be successful. And again, there's some things I taught you guys. How many yards are you going to lose on a punt if you don't field it?
17 and a half.
Still true. Still true.
Hey, literally, I got a whole list, coach. A whole list.
You know how shocked, okay, now you know me, right? You know how shocked my kids are when I say that and they say 17 and I hit play on a video that we didn't field the punt and that thing goes
every time. Like we all thought you planned it. Like we all like, and it's like, no, I've seen it. Guys, I'll tell it to the guys that I coach. Like, guys, it's gonna bounce about 17 and a half yards. And they're like, what are you talking about, coach? Watch the next 2 punts. Doop, 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 17 and a half. Doop, 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 18. What did I tell you? Learned it from the great Coach Allen.
Yeah, I mean, and how did I learn it? Because when I was a young TA, I had to watch about 1 million of them, and I had to chart every single one of them. I was like, oh, okay. So it doesn't matter. Grass, turd, bring it all works itself out. But
it just happens.
But so we've evolved to also. So I'm trying to think. So we had I don't know if I had NOSs back when I was coaching you or not, but so we don't harp. Not our standard. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we don't harp on them any. Like you don't beat them down in film study. You just hear NOSs. All right. It's not our standard, guys. It's not what we do. Here's the penalties, NOS, not our standard. Mm-hmm. So instead of going, man, holy cow, what are you doing? It's just like NOS. This is not our style of football. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing that now we're doing this for a long time, and the advent of huddle and the TikToks and the Instagrams and the Twitters or X's or whatever, you get all the film you can want. So I have TTG, teach the game. Think about some of the things our kids at SBU were better coached than a lot of teams we played in the kicking game because we knew situational football. We knew, hey, we put our foot out of bounds. We understood the rules. We can get a penalty, right? We can get a out of bounds penalty on a kickoff if I put my foot out of bounds and field it. Yep. So we always look for teach the game situations, and we share that with our players, weekly. If not daily, it just depends when it happens, right? But as soon as we can get a film to teach the game, we show them teach the game clips. And, still the same thing I've done with you guys. Just have a bigger library of, quick 30-second movie clips that correlate to something we want to teach or some core value or some training or some winner's manual characteristics. So some of that stuff I hadn't changed a lot. Because I believe, there's certain truths that always hold true, like Proverbs. You read Proverbs, I don't care if you read Proverbs, 2,000 years ago or tomorrow. When you read those 31 chapters, there's going to be some things that hit home every time because there's just biblical truths. Mm-hmm. It's the same in the game of football. There's some truths that will always be there.
Okay. So then speaking of truths, what is something that as a coach that the average football fan will overlook, but you as a coach know, hey, we have to have this to have success?
Something we need to have success. Well, knowing the math behind some of it, like on the field, things that matter are the P10, the first play of the series, you want to get 4 yards. So you want to be 2nd and 6 or better on the first play of the series, not of a drive, but the very first play of every time you get the ball back. Yeah. That's huge. So we spend a lot of time. We do some stuff with formation. So we spend a lot of time on game planning our P10 stuff so we can get an easy 4 yards. It's also one of those things, if you're fast-paced, no huddle, and I can come out of the blocks in an unbalanced formation where you don't really have a chance to adjust, and I can hit you in the mouth once, get my 4 to 6 yards, and I can hurry up. Now defense is put on the defensive. Correct. And so down they're reactionary and they're slow, Okay. Mm-hmm. The other thing is that's probably holds the most truth is you need to have a bunch of different types of leaders. And a lot of coaches miss the point on they think the leader's always got to be your best player. The leader's got to be always screaming or the guy that does the breakdown. But you have different leaders in different phases of life. Think about a shepherd. All right, that's herding a flock of sheep. The shepherd knows his sheep. The shepherd knows his flock. And if you look at a shepherd and they have their staff, right? The staff on one side has a hook, and the other side has the pointer. So sometimes you bring them back, sometimes you point them, and then sometimes you beat them. So but as a leader, there's a lot of different ways to lead. So leading by example is important. So you need to have that quiet guy that's going to do everything right and hold other people accountable. You're going to need the enforcer, the guy that's going to like put you in a locker if you're not doing right. And you're going to need the guy that's just a playmaker, right? And you're going to need all those guys to kind of work together and have the same mindset because I believe this not in the short term. This isn't always true, but in the long term, it always is. Your best teams, your best players are your hardest workers.
Yeah.
At the high school level, you fall prey to that because sometimes your best players don't have to work hard because they're just so much better than everybody else.
Right.
That gap changes, as you get better and better and better in the game, right? As you get higher in the level of football, the talent disparity between top and bottom is less. So when your best players are bought in and your best players are your hardest workers, your most productive players are your hardest workers, and then everybody else toes the line.
Okay.
And those are truths that, I don't care where you are, where you're at. If those don't hold true, the average fan may see you might have the most talented team, but they don't see the failed chemistry behind closed doors.
Right. Right. Okay.
So
In your experience, what's the thing that separates the good teams from the great teams?
besides obviously talent,
Right, yeah. We'll say, yeah. Obviously, if I'm more, yeah. Like
at the end of the day, I mean, I was in a state championship in Florida, and I had 0 kids on that had any scholarship offers at the King's Academy, and we're playing Shamadad Madonna, and they had 7 kids that had FBS Power 5 offers. We're beating them 14-3 right before halftime because I could scheme them. But then they made an adjustment, and then they just had more horses in the stable than we did, and they beat the tar out of us. But anyway, the thing that was repeat the question. The thing that
what would you say in your experience the thing that separates good teams from great teams?
Yeah.
Beside talent.
Yeah, team leadership, player leadership, player-led teams.
Okay.
When the players become the enforcers, then the standards hold true. Okay. If the coach is the enforcer, that's called martial law, and that'll get some stuff done. But the easiest way, the litmus test is how much does the locker room talk and demeanor change when the coach is there and when the coach isn't there? If the coach is in there and they act one way, and then when the coach leaves, it's totally different, you have a disparity of what the standard is and what's acceptable.
Right.
But when there's not much change, you have good culture and the standards are true. Okay. So that's something that, I think holds true is if the players in the locker room without the coaches, because there's a sacred place in the locker room. Yep. And I'm not saying you don't mess around and do certain things, but if there's a big discrepancy between when the head coach is there or coach is there and when there's not, that shows you the discrepancy in the standards and what's acceptable.
Okay. Thank you for that. That's fantastic.
And that's why I love, like at SBU, if you remember, my son was little. I love for him to run around in the locker room because it might have kept you all right, but I thought you guys were good kids anyway. That's why I wasn't too concerned, I tell our administration this the other day, and the story of the farmhand, he's interviewing for a job, and the rancher says, well, do you have a resume? Do you have any references? And he goes, no, sir. All I can tell you is I sleep good at night. And the farmer goes, I don't know what that means, but I'm desperate, so I'll hire you. So the ranch hand's doing a great job, fantastic job, right? And then a big storm's a brewing, and the rancher's worried, and so he's not sleep. He doesn't sleep that night, and he sees the storm, and from his bedroom window, he's looking out, and he doesn't see the ranch hand anywhere, and he goes to sleep, wakes up the next morning to assess the damage. And what the rancher finds out is, all right, the barn has been secured. The tools have been put up in the barn. The animals have feed. The hay has been laid, and the animals are protected and safe. The gates are locked. And he walks back to the ranch hand's house, and he's asleep, and he's kind of ticked. But then he realizes what he meant by that. The ranch hand said, I sleep well at night. because he knew he was going to take care of his job. So he knew he could sleep well. And that's how I feel with my players. Go check them out. I've done my job. I feel good. I'm going to sleep good at night. And, that's kind of how I believe that locker room needs to be. I need to be able to walk away from that locker room and not be scared to death that they're going to do something stupid in the dorms or in the cafeteria. Are you going to be void of that? No. Right? There's somebody's always going to do. You put 100 kids in a locker room, there's bound to be an idiot, right? There's bound to be somebody do something.
Somebody's going to mess it up.
I mean, even in our faith, right? Jesus had 12 disciples and he was wrong on one. So, I mean, give us that grace, right? That's what I tell the school. Give us that grace. 1 out of 12. It's fair.
In terms of teaching X's and O's or managing personalities and relationships, what was the harder thing for you? X's and O's, teaching them, or managing personalities and relationships?
It varies a lot. Managing egos. I wouldn't say personalities or relationships. I would say managing egos.
Okay.
Making it in today's society, it's getting worse and worse and worse with transfer portal, NILs. Now that's one of the reasons I took the Division III job and not some of the FCF other jobs I had offered, because we're still in the purest part of the game.
Right.
I don't have any money to give them. I don't, Division II, I had exit interviews every year. And I had to negotiate, right? You guys, you'd come in, you want more money, and then I got 75 guys that want more money, and my budget's the same, So they talked about, and I'm getting off the track here for you, but they're talking about NIL money. You wouldn't know how to manage NIL. And I was like, I did it back in Division II, buddy. I just didn't have as many zeros at the end. I had 36 equivalencies, whatever that is in dollar amount, and I had to divvy that up amongst the team. Now you guys just have a couple more zeros on the end of it. It's still divvying it up. It's still putting it all together and making everybody happy. I mean, you're not going to make everybody happy, but but the biggest thing is egos, managing egos, especially offensive kids, because they all want to touch the ball. And I try to tell them, I was like, there's one ball and there's 5 eligible guys, so not everybody's going to get the ball every time. And from a philosophical standpoint, I tell them, I was like, there's going to be some games we run the ball 38 times in a row because of the look they're giving us. There's going to be other games we're going to throw it 38 times in a row to different guys because of the look they're giving us. The biggest thing is we got to know our role and be happy with our role. We talk about be a team, be the most excited team to play, and be the best at your job. And some days your job is to score a lot of touchdowns. Some days your job is to run people off routes and block. So you've got to be all right with whatever your role is to win, right? And that's why I go back to core value number 1. As long as the team's the most important thing, it becomes a we-centric environment instead of a me-centric. And if you truly have the brotherhood, you truly have that team-first mentality, I'm going to go do the work. And I don't really care who gets the credit. And that's so hard to instill in today's society because they got uncles, brothers, dads, moms, best friends telling them how they're getting screwed, how they didn't get enough touches. I had a kid upset this year, and we're a developmental team, and he wasn't playing wide receiver, tight end because he wasn't good enough. But he was our starting long snapper. But he was upset because he wasn't getting a play. And I was like, look, you are a starter on our team.
Correct.
I have a roster of 107, and there's about 40 that don't ever touch the field. And you're going to come into me upset about your playing time on offense when you're getting about 12 snaps a day, 12 snaps a game. So that what happened, it was no longer about the team. It was about the individual. And, I'll tell kids now, and I don't think I had this phrase back at SBU, but if we're holding the team first, whenever we have a player problem, right? Whenever I have a one-on-one meeting with a student athlete, I can look at you in the eye and I can just say, hey, Alan, were you being a great teammate at that particular time? Think about it. Any situation in the game of football, you get in trouble in the classroom for cheating. Were you being a great teammate? No, it's a yes or no answer. There's no gray about it. Were you being a good teammate? They know. So it doesn't matter the situation. If they come to my office because of discipline issue or a problem, I can ask one question and they answer their own problem. They answer the question themselves.
Right.
Think about it. Well, I pushed him. Were you been a good teammate? Were you taking care of your teammate? It's easy stuff.
Right.
On paper anyway, right? But I mean,
Right. Right. Yeah.
those
No.
meetings. But what happens? The kid that's in that meeting's a me-centric kid, so he doesn't really care about being a great teammate.
Mhm.
And then guess what? If he doesn't want to be a great teammate, then he's not going to be a great player for me, and he's probably not going to be on our team very long.
Right. And if it's that moment of just he's a 18 to 24-year-old kid, he gets that recenter of, whoa, right,
Yeah.
coach is right. I
I'm
need to
not,
be a
I'm
better
not,
teammate.
we're not sitting there. We're not putting you to a life of shame because of an
Mhm.
action, but we're giving you, change the player, change the player. We're going to give you an opportunity to change your mindset before we come back and change you,
Right.
you know,
Right. Yeah.
put a new player in there. So it goes back to the same stuff I've been telling you guys
Yeah.
since for 20 years or something. Damn.
Absolutely. So then how do you approach a player that's struggling either just emotionally, physically, mentally? So let's say like that situation and now they're almost down on themselves, or something back home or on the team or however so forth. How do you handle that?
Well, number one thing I tell my coaches, and I told this to teachers too. You better have a positive relationship before you have a negative interaction.
Mm.
So you need to know the name, strength, and need of your people. That's what a good shepherd knows. He knows his flock. He knows when something's off. So the first time you notice something's off, Johnny's usually giving great effort, and all of a sudden today's practice he's not, and you've kind of punked at him a little bit, and nothing's
Yeah.
changed. Okay, now we got to peel the onion back and find out what's going on.
Correct.
So you got to get to the root. And the only way you'll ever get to the root with anybody is time, right? Trust and a relationship. Those are the things you need to have. But then you got to get to the root. Why are we having a problem? Where's the disconnect? One of the things I love to do with the players is, and I think you've done this, is we make you rank yourself on everything. We give you an exit interview and we rank everybody. There's 22 things we rate. And then the coach rates it and the player rates it, and then we compare notes.
Mhm.
And what you find out is the better teams, the coach's analysis and the player's analysis are more aligned. When there's a disconnect, Johnny thinks he's really, really good, and coach thinks he's not. So there's a discrepancy. So we got to find out why there is a discrepancy, and then how can we mediate and bridge that gap. So, and those are things that, that the coach should be doing nonstop continually through coaching. That's what coaching does, right? It's helping the
Correct.
kids get better. But it's always good at the end of the year to do that, to see where we're aligned or where we're misaligned. And, is it a communication error on the coach? Is it just a false belief from the player? Or maybe that position coach has a bias. Sometimes
Yeah.
that happens.
Correct.
It's a human nature world. And you do me wrong or you say something to me and I'm a young coach, I may burden that,
Mhm.
and right, wrong, or indifferent perceptions reality. So,
Right.
when a player's struggling, we gotta get back to why. Is it a coach relationship thing? Is it a communication thing? Is there something going on at home? And if we don't know, we don't know. We tell the kids all the time, I can't read your mind. So if you're not telling me what's going on, I have to assume you just don't care enough.
Okay.
You know.
What was the toughest moment you faced as a coach, as a head coach? And what did that moment teach you? If you don't mind me asking.
Toughest moment. There's so
Toughest
many
moment.
different ones that could be tough.
Mhm.
I remember a moment at SBU. I had a JUCO D lineman throw his helmet and just refused to get off the field. Thank goodness I had a really big D line coach, and Coach Hayworth was able to take him off the field because
Yep.
I was sitting there
Yep.
thinking,
I was there. Yep. I
uh,
remember
I,
that.
I
Yep.
was thinking, I don't know what the heck I'm going to do. Like I can't physically take this kid off the field. But again, what happened? Coach Hayworth, my D line coach, had a great relationship with the kid, was able to talk him off the ledge, get him away from the situation because the only thing he was going to do was make it worse for him.
Correct.
We were able to resolve it off the field later, right?
Mhm.
That was a tense moment because that was one of the times I was like, I'm not going to be able to stop this kid if he doesn't want to leave.
Right.
So I knew I was going to have to like make a stand. Thank goodness my D line coach was able to take care of it. I told Coach Hayward to get him off, and he
Mhm.
did, right?
Mhm.
So you always, as a head coach, you better have an enforcer. You better have somebody that's freaking jacked up. I had Coach Junior too, right? I mean,
Oh, yep, yes, yep.
EJ could have. I don't care if he was 60 years old or whatever. He could have.
Oh,
He
no,
could have
he could
swapped. He
go.
could have. He could have just grabbed
The
him.
man can still go.
So surround
Um,
yourself with big guys. No.
yeah,
So other things is and as a college coach, you deal with all sorts of situations: loss of families, uh, losing a former player. Those things are all tough. But on the field, it's when your player is going through something. A loss at home. Luckily, I've never, knock on wood, I've never lost a player currently on the roster. But those are things you gotta navigate through and handle. Uh, I had to kick a kid off the team because he hit a coach. And I loved the kid. The kid was a great kid. But I told him, I was like, you cross the line and there's nothing I can do to save you.
right,
If I let you stay on the team, no matter what punishment I give you, it's not good.
right.
He understood. He didn't like it, and we were able to get him placed. Like I said, I liked the kid. He was a great person. But like you said, that one of those kind of reactionary moments.
Yeah.
But there's consequences and actions, right? So I mean, actions and
Mhm.
consequences. So sometimes you can't save them from the consequences of their actions, right?
Mhm.
No matter if they're split, one-time deals, but going circumventing through those things, navigating through those type of things as a coach, the longer you go through it, the more of those types of situations you'll have. Those are always hard, especially when you have a great relationship with a kid and it's a one-time deal, but it's such a big one-time deal
Yeah.
that you can't give them grace.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, and I tell parents this all the time, when I make a decision as the head coach, as long as I keep the team first, and I make the decision based on what is best for the team, I can still sleep good at night, right? Even if it
Right,
hurts. It doesn't mean I
right.
sleep easy, but I can sleep because
See,
I've got to protect 100 kids, not just
correct.
one.
Right,
I got to protect 100.
right,
And
right.
sometimes that means you have to do things that are better for the team, not necessarily best for the individual.
All right, all right. What is your favorite coaching moment or memory you have?
My favorite moment.
Uh
Uh, what was your last year at SBU?
huh. 12, 2012,
Okay.
2012 season.
You were here for one of them, man. So we were playing at Central Oklahoma homecoming game for them.
Yep, yep.
So
Uh huh.
I don't know how much you remember, but so they blocked a field goal of ours early in the game.
Uh huh.
And the week before, we had an 8-point lead against somebody, and they scored a touchdown, made the 2-point conversion, and beat us in overtime.
Okay.
So we're
And
up
that
by
may have
5.
been Emporia State, if I
Yeah,
remember
it was
correctly.
whoever the week before was. I don't remember
Yeah.
that, but so we're up by 5, Central Oklahoma at UCO, their homecoming, and so we got that going on for us right now. I line up, it's 4th down. We're gonna kick a field goal, right? To make it an 8-point game. That's the smart play.
Uh
But they
huh.
were using an illegal pin and wheel or a pin and pull technique to block the field goal. That's how they blocked the field goal earlier in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew they were going to do that. And Sundstrom was our tight end. Remember Brad?
Yes,
Yeah.
Brett. Yes.
So I look at our coaches. We should kick the field goal, go by 8. Everybody goes, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And then I pull, I don't remember who the holder kicker was at that time. I remember Brad. And I was like, no, 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 we're going to run Batman. So four people knew, 4 people in the whole world knew we were going to run Batman. The
Yeah.
long snapper, JT, the
JT.
holder, the kicker, and Brad. Nobody else knew. And up by 5, that's the stupidest call in America, right? They just blocked the field goal. So when you watch
Right.
film now, they did the pull and shoot. They would have blocked it easy.
Uh huh.
And we toss it to Sumstrom in the end zone, catches it easy, right? He
Right.
flashes the Batman symbol on his
Oh,
belt. You remember that?
I do. Oh my gosh.
And so Danny was the ref because remember MIAA had a
Oh.
crew.
Uh-huh.
So Danny was the ref. And Danny comes up to me, and obviously our sideline's going crazy.
Yep.
Danny comes up to me and goes, "That was the greatest call I've ever seen in my life."
Oh,
So
memory of the lost
that's one of my
unforgettable, dude.
favorite call. Like if you ask, what's
Yeah.
your favorite call you ever made? That one was one. That was probably number one
Oh
out of all of them.
man.
So I got two more greatest moments for you for your podcast. So the next one,
Oh man.
I'm at Kings Academy. State, they're not in the state championship yet, but we're making a playoff run.
Uh-huh.
And so I got a kid named Corey Croto. We're gonna run, all streaks, 97 Y Papa is what we called it.
Hmm.
Uh, the quarterback throws the ball. So it's a last ditch thing. We got up with a minute left and they came back and took the lead again. So now it's like
Hmm.
30 seconds left, 20 seconds left. We go all streaks. And the quarterback throws it. The DB falls down. Corey catches it, scores the touchdown. We win the game. Now we're going to the semifinals.
Hmm.
And so they interview him after the game. Corey Croto, that was a great catch. What were you thinking about? And he goes, well, because he was going to have his 18th birthday that week and he was going to go skydiving. And I told him, I'll go skydiving if we're still in the playoffs. But I was like, if we're not in the playoffs, I'm not going skydiving with you. So here's what he told the news reporter. Now I'm talking West Palm Beach. We're the only there's only two teams left in
Uh-huh.
South Florida in the state playoffs out of all levels. So we got like 3 or 4 TV stations there, and they interview him. And they say, Corey Croto, what were you thinking? He goes, all I could think about was if I don't catch this ball, Coach Allen's not going to go skydiving with us. So that made the news. Coach Allen's not going to go skydiving with us if I don't catch the ball.
Right.
Not,
Oh.
hey, we're fixing to go to the semifinals. Never been done in school history. It's like Coach Allen ain't going to jump with us.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
funny.
and then the last one, and that ties in with this season. So before that season started in Florida, you're allowed to go to like team camps. So
Hmm.
I went to an FCA camp with our team, and we were awful. Everything about it. Like a lot of my kids were hurt, so we weren't there. And I mean, we fought and we'd win some things, but we just looked terrible. And you knew us well enough. We were well coached to win certain things, especially at the high school level in Florida. But we just looked bad. And so the guy named Dwight Thompson, he's a world recruiter for Florida. Like everybody uses Dwight's services to recruit Florida. So fast forward 15 weeks later, we're in the state championship in Camping World playing the Shamadama Madonna team. And we're doing pregame warmups or we're doing pregame stretch or whatever. And I'm walking around, high-fiving the kids, telling them whatever. And Dwight comes up to me and goes, Coach Allen? He goes, if you would have said to me 14 weeks ago, what did you look like at your FCA camp? You'd be playing at Campy World. He goes, Coach, I wouldn't have thought you'd have won 3 games. And we went 12-2 that year, lost in the game, but that
Yeah.
was pretty cool. I thought that was good. So
Oh,
there
that's
you go,
awesome.
Alan. Those are my three takeaways. I'm sure there's other ones, but those are the ones that popped in my head the first.
Oh man. Okay. As a young coaches, anybody who's listening, what advice would you give them who for guys who are just starting that journey or a year or two into it?
Here's the biggest thing. I'll tell you 3 things on the coaching career. Take meticulous notes of every decision your head coach makes.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't have egos and they're not the head coaches of bravado, when you disagree, if you ask them why, they should tell you why they made the decision.
Okay.
And if they don't, you're probably not working for a good guy that's going to help you grow as a coach. But
Right.
keep a notebook of things that are going on. Start to create your own head coach's manual. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
observe everything. That's number one to get you ready to be the next phase. And then
Mm-hmm.
here's the next 2 things I'm going to tell a young coach. Be the best problem solver for the head coach.
Okay.
Be what I call a plate cleaner. Whatever is on the head coach's plate, clean it for them. Be so valuable to the head coach, they're going to do everything they can to keep you.
Right.
And take so much responsibility that you can handle, you're going to be ready for the next promotion.
Okay.
Do such a great job of where you're at that they have to notice you,
Right.
and then enjoy it and make sure you're building relationships. Because the more you get into coaching, the more you realize it's not about being the best at X's and O's. It's about best managing the Jimmies and the Joes. I mean, you better have some competence in the game, right? But if you can't
Right.
manage the egos and understand how the kids think and have a relationship where they're going to lay it on the line for you on 4th and 1, why are you doing it?
Okay.
So that's it. Be a plate cleaner for the head coach.
Mhm.
Do whatever the head coach asks, no matter if you don't know how to do it or not, figure it out. Uh, Keep a running tally of your head coach's manual. And then, like I said, develop relationships all the time. Always be a lifelong learner. I'm still
Right.
learning how to do everything better every day.
Right. Right. Looking back at your career, what is something you're probably the most proud of?
My coaching tree,
Okay.
100%. I got former head coaches, I got current head coaches. You think about all the graduate assistants and the players for us at just SBU alone, not even including Kings Academy. Uh, think about Robert Clardy was head coach of Southwest Baptist for a long time. EJ Jr. was head coach of Central State for a long time. Zach Wilkerson is the defensive coordinator at Houston Christian University. Mike Barola is the OC or tight ends run game coach at UTRGV, right? You keep going back and back and back. Uh, Golly, the kid that was a GA for us your senior year, George
Um,
Sanders.
George
He,
Sanders, yeah.
yeah, he was at Incarnate Word. Uh, the Derek, golly, I'm going blank on their names. Derek starts with an S. Shepard, Derek Shepard he was at Houston as the assistant head coach. He just left to
Mhm.
go somewhere up north to be the assistant head coach.
Okay.
So the thing I'm most proud of is if you're a great job as a head coach, you're teaching your coaches to be coaches, right? That's
Correct.
part of your job, coaching your coaches. So I think, like Nick Saban's coaching tree is amazing, right? His guys
Right.
have gone off, and they started up a little bit higher on the branch than a lot of my guys, but to see where my guys have fallen,
Mhm.
I've got a lot of guys out there. Think about all the head coaches in the Missouri that we have at SBU that played under Glenn, right? He was one for a
Yeah.
while to decide to be a
Mhm.
principal. Uh, you know, Golly, little bitty Travis Gregory's coaching somewhere, right?
Yep. Mhm.
Sean, I think he was before your time. Uh, he's the head
Kilduff.
coach, huh? Yeah,
Kilduff.
killed us out in California style.
Cali, right? Yeah.
Sean Kelly is at
Sean,
Urbana.
Skyline or Urbana.
Skyline is
Yeah,
Skyline.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
But so you go look back. I got a lot of former players and coaches that are coaching at a fairly high level and having success like you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And we got Ethan Beisner. He's the DFO at a place, and I
Mhm.
think he's at South Dakota State now.
Eric
Derek
Mateo,
Derek Eric
Derek,
Mateos is the O
Eric
line coach of Wisconsin.
Foster's
Uh,
at New Orleans, right? Like he's with the Saints.
he was with the Cowboys last.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was. Yeah.
I don't know where he's at now.
Okay.
But those guys all reach back out to me all
Uh-huh.
the time, especially when I posted the winner's manual. Hey, look, I put the if you know thing. Everybody from SBU is like, Coach, send it to me. Casey Smith's like, I'll send you $100. I'm like, just
Yeah.
give me your email address.
I have mine at my parents' house. My dad randomly found it in the one of his drawers. He was going through it and just clean out. It's like, hey, do you still need it? I was like, do not get rid of that.
So,
um,
well, Eric, I
so
mean, Eric's at Wisconsin. He was at Arkansas. He goes, I use this for my O-line meetings all the time.
uh-huh.
So
Mhm.
that makes me pretty happy.
As a what continues to motivate you today, coach?
There's three things that motivate me. Number one, I just don't want to let my family down.
Mhm.
Number two, I want to see what I can accomplish. I want to strive to be great wherever I'm at. I told you guys this is when I coached for you guys or coached you guys. I was like, I don't care where you put me in a job. Within a year, my title will change. I will move up. Start me at a construction company digging ditches, and I'll move my way up. That's how
Right.
much confidence I have in myself, right? And this opportunity to see what we can get done. I mean, there's days I want to hit my head against the wall and strangle people, right? I mean, but God's graced me with more grace and more time and more patience than I had at SBU. If I was as calm as I am now as I was at SBU, I might still be at SBU. You never know. But I was gung ho young coach, try to fight every battle, win every battle. I had a point to prove every day at SBU.
Mhm.
Here, I have a point to prove, but I have a better way to get there. I have a better understanding of the politics, I guess,
Mhm.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no,
But
it does. It does. It
strive
does.
for greatness. You know, I want to be great. I want the people around me to be great. I want the people around me to believe in our vision.
Mhm.
And, you know, as the head coach, I've got to be the world's best vision caster,
Right.
right? I have to cast the vision and I have to sell the dream. And
Uh-huh.
I have to act the act and I have to walk the walk. Uh, so I have to be the most enthusiastic person in the room every
Uh-huh.
day, right? Like I
Absolutely.
told you, the core values don't change. So,
It does not change. Couple quick hitter questions. Try to limit this to like 1 to 2 words. All right.
okay.
Uh, what's a habit that you can spot immediately in great players? One habit.
Habit,
Yes, sir.
uh, like nappe, doing more than expected.
Okay. The biggest mistake young players make.
Not working out hard enough.
What is the fastest way a leader can lose a locker room?
Hypocritical.
Coach's job is to
Win players.
what's one word you want your team to be known for?
Toughness.
What is one word you hope a former player uses to describe you?
Genuine.
All right. Love it. Love it. Last question. Last question. When in 10, 20 years later, when all of us former players are talking about you, what do you hope we all say is your impact?
Well, that's so open ended there, Alan.
Let me phrase it then. Let me narrow it down. All right. So when as a former player, what do you hope we would say about you, your impact, your either through your faith, your
Right.
ability as a coach, as a mentor? Like, how do you want us to, you know,
I've
the
got the
memory?
answer for you.
All right,
At
go
my
ahead.
at my funeral or my whatever.
Right.
Here's what I hope my players say. Coach Allen helped me become a better man. You know, by being around Coach, he helped change the trajectory of my life.
Okay. All right.
That would
Well,
be it.
coach, I'll tell you right now, you did for me. So I just want to say once again, thank you. Thank you for coming on to the program. Thanks for being my guinea pig, my first official coach to talk to. Coach, I once again just thank you for from the bottom of my heart and to the tens of thousands of players you've impacted and the millions of people through us we've impacted. Thank you, coach, for being who you are, to be a man of faith who constantly leads with integrity and is continuing to strive to be the best version of himself that he can be. So thank you, coach.
Well, hey, I
Seriously.
appreciate it, man. The honor's all mine. And, you know, like I said, 4 for 40, I got your back the next 40. However we can help, we're here for you. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, coach. You have a wonderful day.
All right. You take care.
Hey, you too. Bye.
Bye.